Let's go!
What's going on, man?
Oh, just busy as all can be. It's like everybody was real quiet over, the holidays. And then as soon as January 3rd hit, it's just like, bam, it's just like the email, the phones just keep blowing up like crazy. You know how it is.
I do.
The music business shuts down. And then the minute that January hits, everybody is just like, now, come on, I want this, I want that. What's going on for 2024, So
Yeah, no, absolutely. Just before Christmas, I was still doing quite a bit of interviews and whatnot. And then, what was that? I think on maybe like the 22nd of December, that's when everything kind of stopped. I was like, okay, so all right, I'll wait a couple weeks. And I didn't email anybody. I didn't even look at my email actually. And then my birthday is on the 3rd. And I think it was like the day after that, I started kind of opening it back up, and I was like, "Oh shit, I got better start getting on the ball now."
Yeah, totally. Well, happy belated birthday.
I appreciate it, man. So we'll kind of start with things now, and then I'll kind of bounce around a little bit.
Okay.
Do we have a time frame? Or are we doing 30 minutes, or just kind of open-ended?
Yeah, Shauna's got me scheduled for 4:30 for she's got me with 5 interviews back to back on this. Okay. So at 4:30 I've got to be on another one. So if we could maybe take 20-25 minutes at the most, that'd be perfect.
No problem. We got it.
Yeah. Awesome.
Okay, so more recently, you guys did the covers album, and then you did some re-recordings. So what's on the agenda upcoming? Like, what we got looking up?
Yeah, while we basically just shut down the whole operation during the pandemic. Okay. It's just like we saw tours get canceled left and right, rescheduled left and right. And we were just like, you know what, why put something on the books, get ourselves all wound up, get the fans all wound up just to have to cancel or go through all these COVID protocols. So we just rode that out. And in the meantime, while that was going on, we got offered these 2 cool opportunities to do a covers record and to do a re-record record. So we figured, we're all sitting home during the pandemic and, stuff like that. Why don't we have some fun with this? And that's exactly what we did. We didn't do them for, anything else than just to, have some fun with some songs that we grew up on and that we thought would be cool to kind of soilize, I guess you could say. So that covers record was just, a really fun thing to do and put together, and we had a blast with it. And then to revisit all those old Soil songs that, some of them were 15 to 20 years ago that we recorded, with old technology and stuff, and to be able to kind of revisit those with all the new technology and recording methods and stuff, we kind of had a lot of fun doing that too. So as far as that goes, I think we pretty much maxed out all the covers and revisiting old material and all that we can do. So, the next step for us is definitely in some capacity to release some new material, whether it be a couple songs, an EP, possibly a full length. We definitely, over the time since the last release, which has been quite some time ago, the last album Whole, we've accumulated quite a bit of partial songs, riffs, ideas, stuff like that. So I think eventually here we'll get back to the drawing board and put some of that together. What we really want to do though is, the next, whatever we release that's original material next has to be, just top notch, can't be subpar in any way, shape or form. I mean, it's got to be of the utmost quality. We waited this long, so we just don't want to throw anything out just to put a few smiles on a couple people's faces when we can, really put out something that's top notch and high quality. We got to definitely, plan our next move accordingly. We can't have any half-assed stuff going out there. So
sure. Was there any particulars on why Whole came out in 2013, right?
Yeah.
Just kind of like modern day music industry and then obviously with COVID and all that, it was like just happenstance of why it took so long now for a new album?
Well, I mean, there's a couple factors. One is we've just toured our asses off. Up until COVID hit, we were just on a nonstop touring spree, and it just took up so much time and energy that getting together and working on songs and stuff. It's like we kept going, okay, let's work on songs, and we get into it, and then something else would come up, and then we'd put that on the back burner, and it's just like that, mowing the lawn type thing. It's like, oh, I'll cut the grass tomorrow. Oh, I got to go do this. I'll cut it, and all of a sudden you realize it's 4 feet high, and you haven't pulled out the lawnmower yet. It's kind of the way with it's been with the songs, and plus, we all live. Besides me and Adam, who still live in Chicago, we all live in different states.
Okay.
So like it was in the olden days, we all lived here in Chicago, and we had a rehearsal space that we would go and practice at, 3-4 days a week.
Yeah.
We don't have that anymore. Now it's exchanging riffs over the internet, and the older you get, the more responsibilities you have. A few of us have some kids, so that takes up time. I mean, I'm not sitting here trying to give excuses. We're musicians, and music is what we do, and we should be constantly moving forward and stuff like that. But you know how it is. It's like all of a sudden things get in the way or opportunities arise, and you lose focus and stuff. So that just kind of happened to us. So we'll get back on the ball here eventually and get some stuff out. I mean, the great thing about being a band, as long as we have, is we've already written a bunch of hits. We've already written all the songs that people still want to hear. So any new songs, it's going to be a select few that want to hear it. And it's always good to write new stuff, but it's not like we're reinventing the wheel or a brand new band that is only on our first or second record, where you have to build up a catalog. We've amassed quite the catalog over the years. So we'll definitely get to something. It's on the list, on the to-do list, so to speak.
I love it. So, like you said, you guys have been a band for quite some time now. And have you had any other projects other than Soil, or has this always been your baby?
Well, I mean, Soil's always been my number one priority since we started the band. It's going on its 27th year this year. So, but before that, me and Adam and a couple of the past members that aren't with us anymore, we all came from death metal bands. And oddly enough, our guitar tech, his name's Scott Roberts, is a great guitar player and songwriter, and he wrote a ton of death metal songs. And while we were out on tour, he's like, hey, would you ever consider singing death metal again? I'm like, well, I still love death metal. I still listen to Napalm Death and Cannibal Corpse, and I like a lot of the newer bands like Extermination, Dismemberment, and Lorna Shore and stuff like that. A lot of the stuff that's coming out, and I'm like, man, I haven't sang that in so long. I mean, I could give it a try. And he's like, well, come on in now. I got a home studio. And we just started popping them off, and reached out to a couple old friends of mine, like James Murphy from Death and Obituary, and Terrence from Suffocation, and Doc Coyle from God Forbid. He's in Bad Wolves now, and asked them if they'd want to throw a couple solos on, and they were more than happy to do it. And we formed a project called Embryonic Autopsy, which is just an old school brutal death metal band. And we were just going to release it, on TuneCore, throw it out just for fun. And next thing you know, I got a record deal out of it with Massacre Records, a publishing deal, a booking agent with Ashley Talent, and like all this stuff just started happening, and just this band just started building out of nowhere. And it's just become a complete new band and new project for me to do. And I've been having a blast with it. It's been a lot of fun, being able to be a front man again and sing death metal, which I still love and stuff. But I really didn't expect it to take off the way it has. And, I guess I should be, saying, thank you and being a lot more appreciative of it. But it's, definitely now I've got two bands, and I also co-own a record label, Pavement Entertainment. So not only do I have to do all the record label executive stuff 24/7, I've got to do Soil, now Embryonic Autopsy and stuff. So it's a lot, but I'm still enjoying it. I mean, to be able to still be in the music business and, putting food on the table and being successful at it, I really can't complain at all about it,
No, that's I didn't even expect all of that. So that's pretty damn awesome. Um, I didn't realize that you had another thing going on. So thank you for opening up my eyes to that. I'll be checking that out, especially if you got some neato guests on there.
Yeah, they really shredded on it. We're actually doing album number 2, and we've got a great amount of special guests, even more than the first record on that. So it's been a lot of fun. We've done some touring with our buddies in Pyrexia. We're doing like Milwaukee Metal Fest, doing the Wacken Open Air Festival with it. So it's kind of just like kind of blew up and took on a life of its own. It's crazy, but it's
who knew that a death metal band would be the one to really blow you up like that again,
Oh, I know. I mean, I already hit lightning once with my death metal band Oppressor. I never thought I'd strike twice with, this new project, Embryonic Autopsy. So it's like whenever you really want something bad, it's always impossible to get. The minute you are like, I don't care, I'll see what happens, is when everybody is like, oh yeah, hey, what about this? What about that? It's par for the course,
It's awesome. So that's why I had asked about other projects, because, obviously Ryan doing Drowning Pool and everything. So when he left back in the day, and then you got the new vocalist, were you trying new things that you hadn't done before? Like, were you trying to go in any kind of different direction, or were you just keeping Soil just going as expected, just with a new voice behind it?
Yeah, I mean, those were some crazy days, because I'm the one who actually discovered Ryan. I heard him with his old band on an unsigned compilation CD, and his voice just blew me away. I was just like, wow, this guy is
Power.
Like everything I'd ever want in a vocalist. And we had started a little side project apart from our death metal bands. And I'm like, this guy would be perfect. I brought it to practice. I'm like, man, I found this guy. But there was, this was, I mean, email was still a thing, but it wasn't as predominant as it is now. And there was a mailing address on the band contact. So I wrote him a handwritten letter, and that's how we got in contact. And, got Ryan, and he fit the band and everything we were doing perfectly. So when he left, we had a big decision to make. We were like, should we break the band up? Should we go on a hiatus? Should we, change the name of the band? What should we do? And, we had spent so many years establishing Soil, we figured we'd just kind of wing it and see if we could, keep it going as Soil. And that's when we brought in AJ. And in fact, Wayne Static from Static X recommended him to us and was a big champion of AJ.
Wow.
And one of the main reasons we brought him in on the band. And it's kind of, it was kind of weird, because AJ's a very technical type guy, and Ryan's more like right from the throat, shooting from the hip, very organic, very, doesn't know like the terminology for certain things. He just gives it, he's all emotion.
Yeah.
And AJ was very, technical and mechanical and thought out. And I really like AJ's voices, and the 2 records we did with him, I'm very proud of. And we did get a little heavier, with him in the band, because he had a bit of a heavier voice, but we still tried to maintain, the Soil trademark sound and everything. And it's weird because, it's like with any band that's changed singers or whatever, you always have people that some love the original formula, and then you have other people that love the new formula. Like when Ryan actually rejoined Soil 12 years, and it's hard to believe it's been 12 years since he rejoined Soil, but he rejoined in September of 2011, so it's been, a little over 12 years that he's been back in the band. And, there's people that are like, oh, I like the AJ era better, and stuff like that. And there's other people like, oh, thank God he came back. I wanted to follow you guys, but, I just didn't really like it without Ryan. So, it's kind of, you get both points of it. But, from a personal standpoint, the only thing I can say is, when Ryan came back and we played that first show, I just kind of looked over to my left and saw Ryan singing. I'm like, man, it's kind of like, for all you Star Wars fans, when that Force Awakens came out and Han and Chewie walk into the Millennium Falcon, and Han goes, hey, Chewie, we're home. felt like, wow, we're back, we're Soil again. We're back to what we should be. And it was a great feeling. And, it's so much better now than it was when he was first in the band. We really harnessed in, the maturity level and us all as friends and stuff. And me, Adam, and Ryan are the three original members, and we were always the closest, as far as back to the original formula. So we just get along better now. There's better decisions being made, and we just have a lot of fun with it now. There's not that much pressure, which is probably why we haven't pushed for, hopping in the studio and moving around with new stuff. We just kind of been taking it easy, just enjoying it. So
yeah, I mean, if you're able to do that, then by all means, you've earned it. You you got a lot of time behind it. So
yeah, there's so many bands you hear about. They're like, they hate each other, but they just do it for the paycheck, or they don't, hang out where they're off stage and they go to their own separate dressing rooms. And to me, that's not a band. That's a job.
Yeah.
The minute that this band becomes an actual job, I mean, I, for one, don't want to do it anymore, but it's never been that to me. This band's always been, fun first, enjoying playing music. And then, if we get paid for it, that's just awesome on top of it,
Yeah. Thankfully you guys had a little success along the way.
Yeah, we've done well.
Do you have any fun stories from the early days, even like before Ozfest and Halo and all that? Like, do you have any interesting stories from back then before success happened?
Yeah, I mean, it's always fun when, you look back on those days and you kind of cringe because you're like, man, I couldn't do that anymore. But, when you're in the moment doing it, it's fun, and it was a new band for us. So it was exciting to play a new style of music and stuff. And we, the first tour we ever did is we jumped on the road with Skin Lab for a week.
Oh, yeah.
And we hopped in Adam's mom's minivan, no trailer, no nothing. We took all the seats out and we laid all the gear flat, and we were laying on top of the gear. And Ryan still has, he pinched his sciatic nerve on that tour back in 1997. And I think it's still pinched to this day. He still has problems with it from laying on a Mesa Boogie half stack going, up to Canada or wherever the hell we went with that. But, that was just so fun because we were just, out there doing it and having a good time with it. And, and our first show ever, we got to open for Incubus before they blew up.
Okay.
And it was a sold out show at the Chicago Metro. And, it was our first show, and it was just crazy just to see, the first show ever we played with this band was sold out. And it was right when Incubus was blowing up on that Science record, and they were still playing small clubs, but I already had them booked, but the record was on its way to platinum, at the time.
Right.
And that was an exciting moment. And, we played a few fests with, a few outdoor festivals and carnivals and stuff, whatever you can get on back in the day. And, we played this place in Des Moines, Iowa called Scary Mary's, which was owned by a couple of members of Slipknot.
Okay.
And we were hanging out with Clown and I think it was Clown and maybe Joey at the time. I forget who it was. Clown was definitely there. And they were saying, yeah, we got a record coming out on Roadrunner Records, and we got on Ozfest, but we don't know anybody in Chicago for the guest list. So you guys want to come and hang out? You've played our club so many times. And we're like, oh yeah. And then to see, to know Slipknot before they were even, Slipknot blowing up as they did was really exciting. We got to meet those guys early on and hang with them. So, all those little stories, put hair on our chest, so to speak, back in the day as Soil. So, yeah. Those are some memories that you'll always carry with you,
It's interesting, some of the bands that made it and some of the bands that didn't, that you think would have. And, who would have thought Slipknot would be like in a different way, but, like the Modern Kiss or whatever, like just a total juggernaut, it's like, with the music they made, you wouldn't have expected it.
Oh, I mean, it's basically a death metal band with a singer that can sing, in a lot of ways. I mean, in the early days, at least,
Yeah.
I mean, now they've kind of honed in on their tone and who they are, but you listen to, that first Slipknot record or Iowa, and they're like borderline death metal records but Corey Taylor, he's such an amazing vocalist and so versatile and their stage show and all the way they were doing it, it was, they were giving like a satanic Kiss concert. Basically, it was just total chaos. I mean, it was the perfect storm. You couldn't ask for a better combination. But if you took away the masks and you had a different singer, they would have basically been a death metal band.
Pretty much.
And it's crazy. I mean, I still look at it and I'm like, wow, they took over the world. It's amazing. I'm so proud of them. It's great. Them and even Disturbed. Disturbed are from Chicago along with us, and it's like Disturbed is one of those bands that can literally do no wrong. Every record, goes gold or platinum, and every tour is sold out. And a band that I manage is an all-female band called Plush. They're going out with Disturbed. The first show's tomorrow, and to see Disturbed selling out arenas and a band that I now manage going out with them and stuff. It's really cool. I'm proud of those guys too, because they just did what they did. They didn't they didn't care about the criticism or whatever they got, and and the fans just loved them. Some of the critics gave them a little bit of a hard time in the beginning, but the fans stood by him and said, hey, I don't care what you say, we love it, and God bless them. They've been doing a great job, and I'm super proud of them too. Our Chicago, holding up the Chicago flag.
Absolutely. Speaking of Chicago, so I like to ask this in my interviews, from whether it's someone that's over in Europe or Australia or here in America. I'm going to ask you two things. So, one, where's the best tacos?
Oh, well, there's definitely little hole in the wall places. I would say, Chicago has the best tacos I've ever had. There is this one place I'm partial to called Taco Burrito King. If you're ever in Chicago, you can't beat the California, Los Angeles street tacos. But I don't know, for some reason we have a very big Hispanic population here in Chicago.
Yeah,
and they call it the football burrito. It's a Chicago thing for a burrito that's as big as your head, and you can't beat it. So if you're ever in Chicago, Taco Burrito King, go into one of the little hole in the wall places and get a football burrito. You can't go wrong with it.
Okay. Then the second question will be, separate from a taco spot. If I or anyone listening to this comes to Chicago, where would you recommend that we go? Just in general.
I mean, I am the city is always a great place. I mean, I live in the burbs,
Mm-hmm.
like right outside the city, which kind of gives you the best of both worlds. But in my early days, I spent most of my time in the city constantly. But now I hate going down there because of the traffic and stuff like that. But there's this place called Navy Pier, which is like a whole strip, and there's like a Ferris wheel there. There's all these shops. It's a boardwalk. It's right on Lake Michigan, beautiful site. And you have all the museums and the aquarium there and stuff like that.
Okay.
And it's right downtown, safe area, great places to eat, great stuff to see. I'm a total like aquarium fish nerd. So, the Shed Aquarium, which is the largest indoor aquarium, next to the Atlanta Aquarium,
Okay.
is awesome to see. So that's always, if you like aquatic life, that's always cool to see. So definitely like the Navy Pier area of Chicago would be a good place. If you want to go in a little more like boutique-y, less kind of touristy, there's I would go on Belmont and Clark. That's where there's a store called The Alley. There's the Chicago Metro is right by there. There's all these kind of like underground kind of fashion places to get like cool like boots and clothes and rock apparel and kind of off the beaten path custom made stuff.
Fuck yeah. All right. I appreciate that. So I'll give you a few minutes to prepare for your next interview. So Tim, I want to thank you very much for your time, and it's been awesome chatting with you. and I hope to see you guys on the road sometime soon. I'm down here in Pensacola. I just moved here a couple months ago, so I haven't even been to the
Sweet.
show yet.
You got the warm weather. It's negative 14 here in Chicago, so feel lucky. I don't know how. I mean, I know Florida pretty well because we kind of blew up out of there, but I don't know how far Orlando is from Pensacola. But we do have a date in Orlando. We're playing 420 and the WJRR Earth Day Birthday Bash with Stained and Seether. So
Okay.
I don't know how far that is, but if you feel like making a road trip, hit up our publicist and we can put you on the guest list for it.
Absolutely.
Like I said, I don't know how far. It might be 4 or 5 hours. I'm not sure, but
yeah, it's I think it's like 5-6 hours or so, something like that.
Yeah. Well, if you feel like making a road trip and hitting Disneyland on the way, get in touch. We'll hook you up.
Okay, man. I appreciate that a lot. Thank you.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for the interview. It was fun doing it, and hopefully we shall see you soon.
Absolutely, dude. Take care and have fun with the rest of your conversations.
Thanks, brother. You take care.
All right.